Hi, my name is Michael Chow, and in this screencast, I'm going to go through the process of building a Python dashboard using three popular libraries. First, I'll introduce each library and talk about them a little bit. Then, I'll show some code that I prepared beforehand as I was getting a little more familiar with them. And then finally, I'll live code a new dashboard just so people can get a sense for what it takes to create new dashboards in these tools and how that process looks. So let's look first at the tools. So the first one is Voila. This is an interesting tool that is easy to run inside a notebook and is very simple. The next is Plotly's Dash, and this is built on top of a Flask server. That's convenient because Flask is a very popular web server in Python, so it's easy for people to sort of jump into and understand. The third is Streamlit, and Streamlit came to the scene pretty recently and has been a big hit. I think that it seems like, from what I can tell, it will be an incredible dashboarding tool. I would say the flow for developing in Streamlit is a little bit different, but it really pays off with the end result. And lastly, the one I won't be going through is Bokeh. The reason is I think Bokeh is a really powerful tool. It's also very popular. It has almost 13,000 stars at GitHub. The issue is that generally I want to use my own plotting tools, or at least have the option as I start creating a dashboard. And as far as I can tell, I think Plotly deprecated support for Matplotlib. So I'd love to do another one on Plotly in the future, but for now I'll focus on Voila, or on Bokeh. For now I'll focus on Voila, Plotly, and Streamlit. The last thing to mention is that in R, the most popular dashboarding software right now is Shiny. And this is a really great tool. I'll also go through as I live code a new dashboard just to show you what it looks like, and so you can see this code compared to the Python dashboards. All right, so let's take a quick look at some of the example dashboards I created while I was becoming more familiar with the tools. I'm going to go through in the order of Voila, Dash, and Streamlit. I think Voila is the simplest, so it's definitely most convenient for starting out. All right, so if you look, basically the gist is with Voila, you just run it in a notebook and you use IPy widgets. And the great thing is IPy widgets are a really common tool to use with notebooks. Basically, anytime you want a little bit of interaction, you want to use a widget. So I'm going to create an example here, but suppose that we just want a drop-down where people can select something. Basically, IPy widgets makes that really easy. So here we say we want a drop-down, and then we dump it, and notice you can just select things. This isn't really exciting on its own, but it is pretty cool when you wrap it in the interact function. Oh, I already have that. So notice that when I do this and I set a parameter, so for example, to the widget, notice this widget's now being set right here. And then I define a new function that takes this keyword, that it connects with this widget. So now I can do something like drop down value is val. Cool. Oh, I didn't need this space. So notice that now we have just a little bit of interactivity. That's pretty convenient. It's nice that you can really just put the smallest amount of interactivity in without a lot of boilerplate. So in this example here, which I'll show for all the dashboards, I'm using the data mtcars, which I've imported from Suba, which is a data analysis library I'm working on. It's a pretty simple data frame. Each row in this data is a different type of car, and it has some data on it, like how many miles per gallon does it get, how many cylinders does it have, what are its horsepower. That wasn't a normal sentence, but I think you get the point. So here you can see we're using the same drop-down widget. I've imported the data, and then I have this pipeline, this suba pipe, which is essentially just, let me show you. So let's say we just want to plot everything with 4 cylinders. So in empty cars, this says filter out to only keep rows where cylinder is 4, and then pass it to ggplot, a popular plotting library in R. Here we're using a port called plot9, and then that creates this plot. So, I gotta change this. Here. So notice that here I've only gotten the rows where cylinder is 4, and then I'm printing it. This is nice. One thing I really like is that Voila is just letting me use my own tools in the notebook. It's convenient that the same general setup for data analysis can easily be extended here. And in fact, this isn't, actually I'll leave this here. So we have it. So that's basically it. We're using this interact function with this dropdown, and we're using it to filter out certain rows. And then I can toggle it, and notice it updates the data. So that's a really simple example, but hopefully drives home the point about how easy to use and get started with Voila it is. This actually isn't the Voila part, so this is just IPy widgets. The Voila part is that we can take this notebook and turn it into a standalone read-only document. So if I run it using, I moved this, let's go here. If I run it using Voila and the notebook name, notice that it will just create a web server for us where I can access this document. So hopefully it starts up pretty quickly. Oh, you know what? I think I know what happened. This is my bad. I put this example before all the imports. Let me move them here. All right, so we're already experiencing some of the best parts of live coding. Okay, great. So let's run that. All right, so Voila's starting up. And it's running the notebook, and then it will let me, in this document, interact with it. Notice I can still toggle this, and it will update. Great. So we just turned the notebook into a really basic dashboard. It's running a web server. We could expose this to stakeholders or people we want to consume a report. Really simple, really easy. I think it's using Tornado under the hood, which is a another web server implementation. All right, so that's Voila. Let's look now at Plotly's dash. Oops. All right, so one thing I did here is I downloaded Jupyter Lab Dash, which lets me, let me fix this, which lets me run this inside of a notebook. You don't have to do this. I just find it convenient for developing and also for these demos, just to be able to run it, everything in the same place. So here we're going to read a bunch of stuff. This is actually using a more complicated setup, but you'll notice I just dropped in some stuff. So great. And then, so this is the idea is basically this is very similar to R's Shiny. What you do is you basically specify the layout of this page. So similar to designing a front end of a website. Notice actually that it's very similar. So we're creating divs. So basically you create the front end. The key is you set these IDs that will correspond to pieces on the back end. So x-axis column, x-axis type, that's these, right? So this is the column, probably. This is the type. And then this is for this other one right here. Notice you can set style, things like that. And then, let's see, this is a slider down here. And then this is the graph itself. Notice the key is the ID. So you have indicator graphic, and then here where we actually specify how Python should generate the graph. Notice we say like, oh, we have an output. That's this indicator graphic. It's a figure. And then these are all its dependencies. So these are all the inputs we'll need when generating it. They're things like these columns, right? These scales, and the slider. Notice that these are all their IDs. And then that's used when doing this calculation. Importantly, we can use matplotlib here. So if we wanted to do a similar thing as we did in Voila, so if I wanted to import empty cars, and these things, if I wanted to import plot9, I could still do it. So let's see. Let me grab this. Okay. And then rather than returning this, I'm going to just comment it out. And I'm going to just generate this plot. I think the one thing we have to be a little careful for is that, so we need to use this special plotly function, which is actually pretty cool, to turn our static matplotlib graph into a interactive plotly graph. So we use mpl to plotly, and we need to use this p.draw. This tells plot9 will return the matplotlib object here. So let's see if this works. This, well, we'll see. Oh, that's, oh, I should have known that. So let's do this real fast. Plot9, import everything. Just for convenience, we could have just imported a couple things we needed. Oh, we've done a terrible thing. So let's see. Oh, I need to return it. No. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so notice we have now our really simple plotly graph. We can edit this drop down. So label value for I in, I'm going to switch this to 468 for cylinders. Cylinders, I'm going to take out all these for now. Great. I'm also just going to get rid of this whole thing. I need to be a little careful because it looks like there's some interesting, yeah, so notice they, the div actually ends here. So I'm just looking at this green highlighting. So to get rid of this div, I need to actually be a little bit careful. And then notice that we got this, so it should be okay. And let's just make sure. All right, and notice that here it's highlighting this, so we should be all right. I'm gonna get rid of the slider. Okay, and then, so now we just have a really simple setup. I need to get rid of these inputs, which I just deleted from the front end. All right, so great. I think that's it. Okay, let's see what happens. Something bad, probably. Yep. Oh, y-axis column. Oh, you know what? I need to change this function also here. So, did it work? Let's see what we get. Oh, nope. Year value. Oh, you know what? We still have this extra code in here. I think we're in business. Yeah. So now we can see what happens. I mean, this right now it's not being used. So let's see. I'm gonna change this to sil val sil. Say. Okay. All right, I think we're in business. So I'm actually not sure what the default is, if it's none or what. But so that is similar to our Voila dashboard. Oops. Great. Notice that we can also do the same in our Voila dashboard. We can return the Plotly object. All right. And then last, so that's a quick look at Dash. Just to summarize, so Dash uses Flask. It separates this idea of a front end here where you specify everything a person will see on the page with a back end. And it connects the two using these IDs. So it's a little more involved than Voila, but it's probably much more customizable here, or much easier to customize right off the bat. Notice that we could easily like set style, things like that. All right, so that's Dash. Now let's look quickly at Streamlit. So Streamlit's a pretty exciting dashboard tool that just came on the scene. This piece here that I'll show you was copied from this tutorial. We can't run it in the notebook. We can do some editing just to debug, but we'll need to run it here from the terminal. So I'm going to do Streamlit run and then the file name. Notice I have it opened as a notebook, but it's actually a .py file. I'm using JupyText. Notice it's still, I like gutted it and changed some things, but not all of them. So, let's see. So do we have, let's do this p.draw, or I think actually we can put past the plot here. Let's see. And notice nope. Oh, that was wrong. So let's do this. Notice that when the source file changes, it prompts me here. So, yep. I think I changed the example to be, say, HP versus MPG. So I'll rerun it. Great. So that was pretty easy. I mean, and it's pretty cool. I think that the most interesting thing about Streamlit, a lot of the most interesting parts aren't shown here, but it's really simple. The file structure is very simple. The weird part is you need to run the Streamlit command from the command line, but the upside is you get a lot of really useful behaviors because it lets Streamlit break apart your app in more creative ways. So the idea is that Streamlit's really good at caching things that run. So if you have an expensive command to load some data or things like that, Streamlit wants to, in a smart, like elegant way, know when it needs to rerun something and when it doesn't. So you don't have to wait a few seconds every time, say it, for it to re-download some data. The other thing is, you'll notice Streamlit has a sidebar, and it's really easy to add things there. So basically, you just use, this is Streamlit, st.sidebar, and then it puts your widget or your tool there. So here we put a select box. So really easy to do. All right. And notice that then you treat it like the value's just saved here. And there it is. So there's one kind of tricky thing is, I'm not exactly sure. I need to look in more into how people debug Streamlit. When I just tried to run it from the Jupyter notebook, I got an error, and I had to add this command, setting file. I think this is because Streamlit is used to being executed from the command line. And when you actually run a file in Python like this, it usually has this attribute file that says where it lives. So I set it here, and that allowed me to run things like this, just in case I want to debug them a little bit. Notice that I don't get the actual widgets dumped into the notebook, but that's okay. I think for a lot of dashboarding, it's just useful to be able to run code and to debug it in a REPL, so where you can run it and modify things and see what happens. All right, so those are the 3 dashboarding tools, and these were pretty simple examples. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a dashboard that Dave Robinson created as part of a Tidy Tuesday analysis. I think it's a pretty simple one, and we'll go ahead and we'll recreate that. And depending on how simple it is, we may also add some things to make it a little more involved. Involved is probably a bad word. To add a little more interactivity to the dashboard, to let it drill down a bit further. So, all right. I say this because I have already run and glanced briefly at it, and it is pretty simple. Okay, so this is the dashboard using Shiny. Shiny is a tool by RStudio. It's really, I think, taken the R world by storm. It's really convenient, easy to do. Pretty, I would say, similar in spirit to Dash in that you have kind of this separation between the front end and the back end. What's different is I think Shiny's system of reactivity, so how it knows when something has changed, is a little more, is a little simpler in a good way. So you don't need to say things like, in Dash, you need to say, hey, we're watching all these things, right? This is our output, and we're checking on all these inputs. In Shiny, it actually knows, based on the inputs you use, what you're watching, and that's pretty convenient. All right, so that's the idea of Shiny. Here's the Shiny app. It's very simple. It lets you do this drop down. One thing I noticed is that the data it's using has both major and minor categories. So this is from a Tidy Tuesday project. I think it's titled Women in the Workforce. And this data has a few categories. So if you look, it has total workers in an area, an occupation, male workers, female workers, percent female, and total earnings. And I believe this is a combination of census data and data from another government agency. You'll also notice that the dashboard lets you select major category, but there are also minor categories. And I think this brings up a really useful side of dashboards, is kind of like level 2 for a dashboard is having a widget where you select one thing like major category, and then that affects your options in another widget like minor category. So maybe I think we can go ahead and try doing that. So let's go ahead and just run this again. All right. So notice here's the major category we're selecting, and then it shows us this graph. It's using Plotly for R, so you can highlight over and see added information. Yeah. Let's see. I think it's coloring by maybe minor occupation. Yeah, and it's pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and try this. Let me show you the R dashboard quickly. So notice similar to Dash, it has this UI front end piece. It's similar to Dash also in that it's kind of using this idea of IDs. So we're giving a name to our input, and we're giving a name to our output. And then on the server, we connect, right, the R code using these IDs. So job scatter here, it's an output, and this special thing, right, input output of job scatter is how we generate this plot. The difference is, remember that Dash had all those, it had a decorator with all the inputs sort of above the function to create the plot. In Shiny, you just have this input object, and anything on input it knows is being used. So notice that we have major category here as an input, and then because it's being accessed using this input object, Shiny automatically knows, hey, this function's using that input, so if that input changes, it needs to update. All right, so that's a little bit on Shiny. Let's go ahead and start implementing it. So I'll start with Voila. All right. Oh, you know what? I need to probably make a copy here. So I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to rename it to app Voila, I don't know, workforce. Okay, great. And then let's see. So what I'll do is first I'll download the data. I think I saw that in the dashboard. Okay. Oh, I need to close some of these tabs. Okay, or maybe I'll minimize them. All right, so I'm gonna do pd.readcsv, and I need to import pandas as pd. All right, and then can't use this arrow, that'd be no good. I think this should be fine. Okay, so now we have the same data. I think that he didn't really do a lot of processing to it. He got where year was over 2006. He got the year 2016. I'll copy this in. He arranged it. I'm not sure that he needed to. No, he probably did that when he was just investigating the data. And then it looks like he calculated a few things. So, which I'm surprised. I thought that was in the data, but maybe not. All right, so I'm gonna copy in this piece then. Actually, I'm gonna copy in the whole thing. So first we'll create it without any interactivity. That's usually the most sane thing to do. And then we'll add the interactivity. So I'm going to use suba. All right, and then one thing is I'm going to leave it pretty messy for now. What we can do is use black formatting to fix it. So let's go ahead and format this to Python. I'm gonna comment out this arrange. Great. Oh, that's gonna be bad. Okay, ggplot. So in ggplot plot 9, we need to put these in strings. Okay. Great. This all looks fine. This needs to be in a list. All caps false is an R thing. I think we're in. Oh, you know what? This is one of his favorite moves, %format. I'm going to take this out for now. All right, so, and then add this jobs, gender. Oh, I see a $sign. That's not going to work. Let's not worry about this filter for now. Let's see if this works. Oh, the other thing is we're using Subas, so we need to use this underscore that we imported. Where's year? Oh, here it is. Getting year 2016, total workers greater than 2,000. I went too fast and terrible things have happened. Oh, we need to import mutate. I think this will be good. Great. So because we didn't filter out categories, right, there's a lot going on. Let's take a look at what we could grab. Let's just grab the first one. So management. Nice. Grab that. Okay. Oh, something bad happened. Oh, all right. Okay, so I just filtered out now to keep only the one. Oh, that didn't work at all. So let me double check to make sure. I'm just, oh, that's a minor category. Yeah, it's my bad. All right. So how are we doing? Nice. Okay, so we got the plot. Let's now try to do the plotly thing. So I'm gonna just assign it to a variable. Let's black format. I use a plugin for black formatting. Looks pretty good. Do I want % format? Wow, that can't be right. But this is, oh no, that can't. Oh my gosh, sorry. So this isn't out of 100%. This is actually probably a proportion. Yeah, we can maybe do an interpretation of the plot in a sec. So I'm going to delete this. Don't need it. I'm going to import this here now. So we've got a lot of imports. All right, tools.matplotlib to plotly p.draw. Oh, I did a bad thing. All right. And it's hard to say actually how it'll turn out because, yeah, so it looks pretty good. The one downside is there's no legend here. I'm actually not sure how to add it. That's something I'd love to investigate is with plot9 and with turning things to plotly, like how close can we get to this experience where you actually can, in R from ggplot, you can create these plots. Sometimes they're like a little bit funky with a legend. It looks like with matplotlib, you don't get the legend as easily, or maybe you have to do something a little bit different. So that's something I'm interested in investigating. But we've got our plot, so let's now move it in. So what's the easiest way to do this? I would say one easy way is we could do this. So we could turn this actually into a pipe. So plot, I don't know, plot, what's the title? Plot pay gap 2016. What this will let us do is we can do something like plot pay gap jobs gender. So this is a special way that Zuba can create essentially a pipe. Oh, it didn't work. Let's see. Plot pay gap jobs gender. Oh, maybe not. Maybe let's see. Does it have to be like this? Huh. Oh, plot pay gap 2016. Yeah, my bad. So let's see. Oh, I did a bad thing. So I shouldn't have even tried it. Let's all right, this is definitely something I have to work out. Oh, it's because this won't work with ggplot. So let's so it's something I'm still experimenting with. Here, let's just do this. So I'm just gonna return and make this a function. So define plot pay gap 2016. Yeah, we'll just pass it in like this. or maybe we can name it, let's give it the same name. So, all right, now this is a function, and we could do plot pay gap 2016. Yeah, great. So, and then because this is a ggplot or plot9 object, we'll have to do p.draw to get the matplotlib object and then convert to plotly. It's a bit of an ambling path, but it's kind of nice to get interactivity for free. All right, so with that in hand, now we can do this. So we can just do plot pay. Well, actually, before we do that, okay, let's do this. So plot pay gap 2016 jobs gender. Oh, yeah, there it is. So maybe what we can do is let's ignore interactivity for now. So we have it plugged in, right? We can change this, but it shouldn't change our plot. Okay. So then now let's sort of plug in that interactivity. So we have our drop down. Maybe we want to select our options are, I believe, jobs gender dot major category dot unique. So remember, this is just a pandas data frame, so this will give us all these. I think it can probably take an array. I'm guessing it takes anything iterable. Let's find out. Oh, maybe not. Oh, you know, I set this value. Maybe we can set it to none. Let's see what happens. Yeah, great. I'm not totally sure what will happen if it's set to none. I'm guessing that it will filter out all the data. Let's find out if this value is none rather than a category. So now, now we do, let's say category, major category. Okay, now we just drop that in here. Notice that this, anything preceded by the underscore, you could think of as being referred to by the data, and this is just a variable in our function. Oh yeah, now we need, let's see what happens when we set it to none. Is it nothing? Yep. Nice. What I'm gonna do then is I'm going to just copy this value, and I'll set it down here. Cool. And then I think that's it. So let's change this to major category, and major category. Cool. Yeah, nothing. Exactly what we expect. And then if we set this, nice. Notice that changes. We could also, I think that's a pretty good one. So, and then if we did want it to be interactive again, we could do tools.matplotlib to plotly p.draw. Oops, I need to return that. But you know, it kind of depends. It's a trade-off. Given that sometimes plotly is a little bit funky, like you don't have a legend, things like that. It might not be worth it. So, all right. But let's look at, so I'm going to comment this out. This is just a good way to prototype. So, and then I'm going to run it in Voila so we can see it. Oh, maybe it's already running. Let's see. All right, so it's loading. I like this workflow. I like that you can just be doing an analysis in a notebook. And then if you need to, you can add a small widget on top. And then if you need to, again, you can add that extra layer of interactivity. Oh, this is the wrong dashboard. I think that's a nice flow. Oh, that's not the right name. And I think it's nice because you don't, in a sense, you can just very easily, you can just progressively enhance your analysis. All right, so it's running. All right, can live with that warning for now. Great. So, I mean, dead simple. We just have this major category, and that shows up in the plot. If we wanted to set a minor category, what we would do is we would do something like this. Let's see. I think it would be, let me look it up. I think it's dot observe. Let's see. Oh, not the Voila. We need the IPy widgets. Observe. Oh, that's too much. Let's see. Okay, great. I think there's one on the widget introduction. So observe. Uh-oh. Maybe an interaction? Yeah. So notice you can kind of do this where you have these two sliders, and then what this does is so the Y widget observes update X range. Which uses X widget dot max. So the idea is that let's see. I think this one sets the X widget max to be greater when the Y widget value changes. So we're observing Y widget, and when something changes in Y widget, we're running this essentially callback. So what we want to do here is, if let's say we want to add a drop down for minor category, and let's just go ahead and do that. I'm gonna use the dumb variable name w2, and let's just say like let's just do this for now. Minor category equals w2. All right. Ooh. Let's see. Where are you? Where did you go? So, oh, I need to put it here, I think. Yeah. Now notice we have two. We can select this, but we also say want to populate minor category. So what that means is we want to observe major category, and when it changes, we want to call something that will change this other drop down. All right, so what we'll do is w.observe, and then its callback based on value. So we'll do update minor value, minor options. And then essentially what it does is it takes w2 dot options, I think. I actually don't know, so it's going to be a lot of fun to find out. Let's double check. So w dot options, yeah. So it'll be w2 dot options equals, and then essentially it'll be like jobs, gender, where. Let's see. I'm just going to use the underscore, or I'll use a lambda just for simplicity. So this is saying filter the data when data.major category equals yep, the value of the major category. And get let's do .loc. So, and get the minor category column and just the unique values. That's a lot. We could do something like this. Let's use a simple pipe if we want. We could also use Zuba, a filter and a distinct. Let's see. So let's just double check that this works. Update minor options. Pretty scary. So nope, no luck. Let's see. Let me double check that W2 has changed. Nope. Let me print to make sure that's working. Something has gone weird. Oh, maybe not value? Let's see. Well, it seems like we're observing. Let's double check. So when W changes, w.observe, run this update, set W2 options. Maybe maybe setting options doesn't work very well. I think we should actually be able to just set it here. Okay, that worked. So something about the observe seems to be not working great. Let's see. You know what, maybe just type change. Let's see what happens there. Change. Okay. No luck still. So update minor options seems to just hate us. Let me double check. So change type. Oh, well, shouldn't be that wrong. Maybe we could try this. Type equals change. No, that was real bad. Okay, not into that. Let me just try this. Nope. Oh, that's funny. So, you know, I think this is what it's passing in from the thing that changed. So it's saying like pass in value, and then we should ideally have like a value label here. Yes, nice. So what I need to say is value specifies like this is the thing on the widget that's changing on this one that we're passing in, and then here, right, it's passed in as this argument. So then we can say here we can actually just say value. Let's see. So oh no, that didn't work. Oh yeah, I'm not sure. So I'll have to go back and revisit what exactly is going on. All right, so I guess like the demo, I'll change this to stargs. It's worth revisiting. Great. You'll notice this demo's a little bit raw. the reason is I wanted to live code after having taken only a few hours to look through all the materials. I think it's important that a thing is easy to start with. So I thought better than a real polished, pre-prepared walkthrough, better to see what problems come up naturally. All right. So, but this is good news. So we completed it for Voila. So basically we filtered out jobs gender. This is using Suba again. To be a specific year and a specific major category. Then we created these simple widgets. So we could have these drop downs. And then, oh, that one only has one. Cool. And then we could also add this if we want to filter further, say here. So minor category. Let's see. So there's one other trick, which is right now in pandas, we'd have to accept all of them in a filter, we would need to, yeah, I need to think a little bit about how to do this. But one thing we can do is we could turn this into a simple set of if statements for now. So let's do, let's see, so oh, you know what? Let's just save ourselves some trouble and do it before even hitting this. So, well, you know what? Why don't we just do this? So let's just filter it here. Jobs, gender, and then we could always refactor it. So major category equals major category. Minor category equals minor category. I think this is pretty common in building things like this, where you sometimes have to, this is sort of like now, like the filtering's happening a little too far down. So you would want to refactor probably and pull it up. All right, so, and then we'll just pass filter jobs. There's this redundant piece that filters the major category twice, but it's probably not a big deal. So notice now we're filtering by minor category. It's maybe not the most exciting way to filter, but it does show this simple interactivity. Let's see, I'm gonna just do this real fast. All right. Cool. So that's a basic widget using Voila. Notice I would say the upsides are it's part of the natural notebook workflow. It's very simple to start with. It's pretty nice, like with one widget and a tiny bit of interactivity. I would say the downsides are this sort of callback structure can get pretty cumbersome. So that's, I would imagine as you add widgets and things become more complicated, that it becomes harder to track. All right, so let's look now. Oh, you know what? I need to run let's complete this. I'll run the Voila app one more time. Cool, so start it up. All right, and it's running. Cool. So the Voila app is up. We can select a major category and update the minor category. All right, and have that little bit of interactivity. This is definitely not the best dashboard or plot, but hopefully a good demonstration of how some of these basic mechanisms fit together. All right, so now let's look at dash. So what I'm going to do is quickly workforce. So now I'm going to just take this strip down dash example. Oops, I need to open in Jupy text. Great. And I'm going to try to apply the same things. This should be a lot faster because I can copy in the helper function. Notice the data is all loaded up front. Let's just go ahead and use that same setup. So I'm gonna just strip a lot of stuff out of here, actually. So we've got a simple setup. Gonna get rid of this Plotly stuff. All right, this isn't too bad. So we have a basic app. It has a drop down. It has a graph. It has this server side piece to generate the plot. So let's go ahead and copy in this stuff. So jobs gender, got it. Then let's go ahead and, without worrying about the drop down for now, let's just make the plot and make sure that it works. So copy in this, and copy this in too. I'm gonna get rid of all this. I'll do the top level imports again. Okay, great. Oh, we can just use this. Then I'm going to grab these imports. I might need to also do, let's see. Do we use plot9? Nope. Oh, here. So I move this up. All right. So that should be good. Let's try running it. See what happens. Probably terrible things. So oh yeah. Let's see. Oh, I have this as a function still. I think well, that's not surprising. I think it just needs to be indented one more. It's weird that it wasn't. All right, let's see. Let's see if we get a trace back. No, incredibly it worked. So, all right, we're in. And then I'm gonna set this here, and get rid of the bookmarks so that we have a little bit more space. And then I'm going to now I'm going to I probably should have set this outside. This is like a pretty hefty function. Let's move this out here. Let's put this way up before even any data or anything is run. So this is like a nice utility function. Could even exist somewhere else, like a package or somewhere that you'd import from. All right, so that should be okay. And then we need to set this drop down. So notice, I wonder if this can take a list of options. Let's find out. It's a little bit scary. Otherwise, we'll have to do label value. Just not really what I'm looking for. So see if this can just take this array, NumPy array. The answer is probably no. Let's import everything, get jobs gender. Yep, great. Oh, I see. Oh no, no luck. So let's see. Does it need? So let's try first toList. It's a NumPy function. No dice. Let's also, to debug, I'm going to try just passing in like A, B, C. Nope, it must need, yeah, it must need label value. So let's see, I'm gonna go back. Label value, does this work? Yeah, okay. So it's very particular about how you pass it in. That's fine. We'll jobs gender dot major category dot unique. So now we'll just do this iterator and set these two things it needs. Cool. So that's looking good. Now we've got our drop down. Let's set it to work. Taking the input. Okay, great. So now I'm gonna rename this val major. Let's see if we can just do that. That should be okay. So we've got this drop down referenced here. It'll be the first value. All right. Okay. Nice. So it looks like exactly what we're looking for. One downside is I don't think we can just dump a matplotlib plot. I think we have to convert it to plotly, which is kind of a tough sell. I think that in my mind, the spirit of progressive enhancement is that we should be able to take like a very simple thing like a matplotlib plot and then be able to enhance it by, say, making it a plotly plot, and then say like enhance it by adding server functionality. I think whenever adding something like server functionality requires giving up a simpler thing like a matplotlib plot, it's kind of a bad deal. So that's one, I would say, downside, but I could be totally wrong here. I haven't spent a ton of time looking into Dash. All right, so we've got that. Let's quickly see if we can add our other drop down. So I'm trying to be a little bit careful, but let's see. So I'm going to change this to major column and minor. I'm just going to leave this for now, and then I need to change it here. Major column, I'm going to add a dependency. I don't remember what syntax they used for these. Was it something like this? It's actually kind of hard to know how these syntaxes should be because there's a lot of kind of nested stuff. So I mean, I could use black to format it. I'm a little afraid of what. Oh, let's just see what happens. Okay, yeah. So notice they use a much more compressed syntax than when I black format. All right, but this nope. Oh, it worked, but we probably also want to do val minor here. Okay. Oh, and that did throw an error, I think, because of that. Cool. So it looks good. I think this is working now. So I think the key is I can't, when I rerun this, which creates the viewer, maybe it will create a new pane. But as long as I just keep running this, notice it'll update here. Okay, so we've got these. You know, I'm not actually sure how to get one dropdown to connect to another. I'm positive you can do it. Python -1 input depends on another. It might be like a dynamic UI. I'm going to take a few minutes to see if I can do it. Otherwise, I'll just switch to Streamlit real fast, where in Streamlit, this kind of stuff is very easy to do. All right, lots of back and forth. Is this the example? Let's see if there's a final one here. It's probably something like this, I think. So notice that this is creating an output that is actually all of these inputs. That's not too crazy. We could try that. I think, yeah, I think this is pretty doable. So, okay, so it's actually quite a bit later. I spent a lot of time searching for an answer and looping around through that code. I figured I'd loop back, so I've looked through quite a bit of Dash docs. It actually wasn't clear. The answer I couldn't really find in the documentation, but I looked through an example and figured it out. So I wanted to loop back and just cut off, since I searched for an answer for quite a while, and just cut straight to the solution. So what it was including both drop downs, so a major and minor column. Having the options, this doesn't really matter. These are just the initial options. And then what had to happen was here's the output is the section we're changing, so minor column. And you can think of it as which of these we want to change. So here we want to change the options. So this piece right here. And that's how it knows. So our output will be changing this. And then I have the same code to filter by major category using the input, which is this major column, and then output the new options based off that. So it was quite a long search. I looked through the Dash docs, couldn't find anything, but at least wanted to insert the answer here so it wasn't a long search without any kind of payoff. So now I'm going to get back to the original video, but I hope that's helpful for everybody to know how to handle this situation. Streamlit, though, does have a very, because how things run in Streamlit is so clear and simple, it's actually very easy to do this kind of thing. So let's just quickly do it with Streamlit. Unfortunately, this shouldn't take very much time at all, so I probably should have done it first. Let's copy in the data. All right, workforce. I could just leave it as py file. So actually, let's open it as a notebook just for convenience. Okay, so I'm going to put in this big plot function, and I'm going to get the thing to download the data here. I'll also just grab all this for now. All right, some of this might be redundant. No, seems okay. So filter, summarize, mutate, empty cars, pandas is already imported. Okay, great. Let's just put this here. So jobs, gender, run this, run this. All right, but now we just need the piece to plot. So I'm going to grab this. For now, I'll just put in a category. So it's hard code 1. So I'll worry about this. Don't need empty cars anymore. Let's make filter jobs be equal to, let's just do jobs gender here. Gender here. We use this hard-coded major category for now. That is, where did you go? Oh, here. Management, business, and financial. Wait, that's not gonna work. So, where's the return statement? Yep, my bad. Great. So there's the plot. Now I'm going to run it with Streamlit. Actually, it may be running. No, we'll need to, here we go. So I'm going to do the same. So Streamlit, app Streamlit workforce. All right, so now it's running. Cool. And I just want to make sure the plot works. So, no, something bad happened. Let's see. Or did it? Oh, we need to use, so Streamlit uses this special syntax. When you want to include an outside plot, you would do something like this, Streamlit dot plotly chart or Streamlit dot pyplot if it's matplotlib. Let's see, so this is, let's just put this in here. I think that will do it. And then we can't really run, let's see. Yeah, notice, then we get back like this Streamlit object. It's not really useful to us, but at least we know it didn't throw an error. So let's rerun this. Cool, so now we get this plot back. Now let's add interactivity. So we have this select box. Let's do jobs gender dot major category dot unique. Hopefully this works. It's a NumPy array. Oops. It's, how do we rerun? Where did the, whoa, that was weird. All right, so did I open a different, let me try rerunning Streamlit really fast. Great, so should be updating the options box. No luck. Let's see what could have happened. Was it not saved? Yep, that looks like nice. Yeah, so easy. So notice that it's like tiny change, easy to do. I think the real beauty here is that then when we want to have like a second option, we can do something like this. So option 2 equals bar.select box. And then notice we just have option here, so we can go ahead and use it. So minor category. Let's just paste in this simple code we used to get it here. So just like it's kind of happening sequentially, it's no problem. So minor options, and then we'll put it in right here. Oh, minor options. All right, so let's see. Oh no, I did something wrong. Let's probably from copying in the code. So jobs gender, oh, not w dot value, option. Just this value right here. Yeah, what an absolute delight. So notice it's just so simple to do. Yep, we can leaf around. We can change it. It'll update on the plot. That's pretty nuts. We didn't set the plot to filter yet, so it's only filtering. Actually, it's just set to a hard-coded plot right now. But we could do it pretty easily. So we could use the same thing we used here. So we'll do, let me change this so it's clear. Major category, minor category. I bet I need to change it here. Major category. Yeah, that's just a total delight. So, I mean, like I would say like a downside is not a lot of this screencast covered Streamlit. The upside is that it didn't need to. It was so convenient. All right, here we go. So let's rerun this. All right, no option selected. Oh, I did a bad thing. No, there we go. So it mostly works. I'm not sure. Let's see. Something about minor category. Oh, you know what, let's, this is not, oh, we're gonna have to pass this in twice just because of the inefficiency of our plotting function right now has this in it. We could remove it from here. So go ahead and take that out. So, then we don't need this. Okay. Sorry, our plotting function was trying to filter out major category also. So yeah, what a dream. Just an absolute delight. So that's Streamlit. So I would say, just zooming out, I still like Voila, at least for really simple interactivity. I would say like just being able to dip into IPy widgets is really nice, especially if you're doing analyses in the notebook. You need like a REPL, so you need a lot of like cycles through running and tweaking and things like that. Dash is more, to me, it reminds me more of like a traditional kind of dashboard setup. You have like this front end, this back end. You can do a lot of sort of like configuration here. I would say though, this is like pretty cumbersome to track. Like you have to put all your inputs and outputs here. It's not totally clear to me how to do some of these updates, but I'm sure there's a way to do it. And finally, Streamlit, I would say the only very slight downside to Streamlit is it doesn't run in a notebook, but I would say like they've done such a good job with this piece, like this updating, caching, and the management of interactivity, that it actually doesn't matter a lot. I think if you need to do a dashboard, this is an incredibly convenient format to do it in. So I hope it was helpful to see me work through some of these dashboarding tools. I hit some problems. I think that it's hopefully helpful, and I hope it was helpful for you to see me try to deal with these problems. I'll update on how to solve the dash issue. I'm sure there's a solution. In the meantime, if you have any questions about dashboarding, you can reach me on Twitter at Chow the Dog. If you're curious about Suba, definitely visit the GitHub. There's a lot of documentation and docs. It's a convenient port of dplyr. So thanks for watching, and I hope you tune in for the next live coding screencast.